Welcome. And we'll start off, of course, with our bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Thank you. And we are actually finishing up today and starting a new section, the passage regarding the Sota, the woman who has strayed. And it ends with two verses, Zot Torah Takanaot. This is the law, the teaching regarding jealousy. Asher tiste isha tachat isha, in a case where a woman strays from underneath or from under her under her husband, v'nitma'a, and she has become defiled. Okay, the jurisdiction of her husband. That's what I was trying to say. So, and going on now, or ish asher tavor alav ruach ina, or a case where a man, where a man passes, a ruach kina, a spirit of jealousy, passes over him. V'kinei et ishto, and he is, again, this word in some ways is we could translate it from the word kana, meaning to be jealous of his wife. It could have also a more legal meaning and a technical meaning that he has warned his wife, etc. And if all this stuff happens, he shall place his wife before God, and the priest should do for her all this teaching. Let's take a look. Or ish, or a man, kamo, or noda, or in a case where it is known. So he's giving an example from Exodus chapter 1. Klomar im ish kanaihu. So it's saying if he is a jealous kind of man, he's a man who tends to display jealousy. Luchach, and for this reason, he should bring et Aisha. He should bring and place the woman, etc. So, looking to see. Okay, onwards. V'nikah ha'ish me'avon, the man should be cleared of any iniquity. Va'isha hahi, but that woman, tisa et avona, she shall bear her iniquity. She shall carry the responsibility for the consequences of her behavior. And the question is, in what sense does he need to be cleared? V'nikaha ishme'avon, and the man is cleared from his iniquity, Im badku hamayim, that if in fact the waters do test her, meaning that they test her with a positive result, meaning that they indicate that she has in fact committed adultery, and consequently she's died. Al yid aglomar, he should not be concerned to think, Chavti b'mitata, I am responsible for her death. Nakihu min ha'onish, there is no punishment associated with having done this, if in fact she has committed adultery. Davar acher, there's another interpretation of naki, he shall be clean. Another interpretation is mi she yashkena. Okay, once she has been given this water to drink, tehe etzlo beheter. So again, if in fact the waters indicate that she has not committed adultery, it is perfectly permissible for her to remain with him. V'nakeh me'avon hasota, and the iniquity of the sota is cleansed. So sorry. Okay. V'nika me'avon, period. And she is cleansed of, there's no iniquity involved, no transgression. If after this procedure she's shown to be innocent, she can return and stay with her husband. And he explains shehasota asura levala, because in a case where she is being suspected of adultery, it is forbidden for her to cohabit with her husband. That's what he's explaining. So there's been a moment when she was suspected in this way, where she's forbidden to cohabit with her husband until the waters, till she takes these waters. But if the waters show that she is in fact innocent, she's allowed to return to be with her husband. She's cleared, right? She's cleansed, she's cleared of any suspicion of wrongdoing. And this has to do with the idea. So, for example, if a man issues or is in the process of issuing a divorce to his wife, he's not allowed. She and the two of them are not allowed to remain together. So, and with that, we conclude the section of the Sota. Now we get to a new chapter, as you can see, and this has to do with the Nazirite. Vaidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, Daber el bnei Israel, speak to the children of Israel, va'amarta alehem, and say to them, Ish or Isha, a man or a woman, ki yafli lindor, neder Nazir lahazir lashem. If in fact they utter an oath, right, to vow a law of abstinence, to take a vow of abstinence and to abstain before God. So what exactly they're abstaining from, we will find out in a moment. Okay. So Rashi asks a famous question, you might say. Okay. Ki yafli. Yafrish lama, okay, yafrish, that's, he means he is going to abstain. He's going to separate. Like the word Pharisees comes from the word prushim, because they would stay away from others who did not share their value. That's as my understanding of the idea of the Pharisees and where they got that name. Prushim is the Hebrew term for that. So, and whether it meant they would not eat certain things, I think it also had a connotation of trying to maintain a certain level of purity, and we know there are all kinds of situations that can lead to a lack of purity, etc. It may have to do with all those issues. So, Lama nismecha Parshat Nazir leFarshat Sota. So the question is, why does the chapter dealing with the Nazirite, follow on the chapter that dealt with these? Sota. Lomar lecha, this is to teach you, shekol haro'eh sota bekilkula, that anyone who observes a sota as she's being taken through this terrible procedure, this very difficult procedure, Yazir atzmo min hayayin, he should abstain himself from wine. Shehu mevi lidei, because wine has a tendency of bringing one lidei niuf. What it does is it loosens, of course, getting drunk, your any premonitions or concerns you might have from a moral point of view start to be put down, and you're not so careful anymore. And basically he's saying it can bring you to a situation of adultery. Neder Nazir, a vow of abstinence. Ein Nazira b'chol makom ela prisha. He says the term Nazira always means separation, abstinence. Afkan shepiresh min hayayin. And here too, what is he abstaining from? He's abstaining from wine. That's the essential meaning of Nazirite, one who abstains from something. lahazir lashem, to abstain for the sake of God. Lahavdil atzmo min hayayin l'shem shamayim. That is to say that he should separate havdalah, lahavdil, he should separate himself from wine, he should abstain from wine, l'shem shamayim, for a divine purpose. In other words, that is the way in which he's demonstrating his devotion to God, that's what this purpose is about. Not for health reasons or social reasons, or antisocial reasons, but for the sake of God. So here we go. Miyayin v'shechar yazir. He should abstain, yazir, he should abstain from wine and strong drink, meaning alcohol, right? Chometz yayin, not only wine, but we're looking at vinegar made of grapes, or wine that's turned to vinegar. The chometz shechar lo yishter. And again, we're talking about vinegar from any other kind of, essentially any other kind of alcoholic liquid. The chol mishrat anavim lo yishter. So again, it would include even grape juice, right? So should any combination, I believe, as well, that contains grape juice. The anavim lachim, and this would be soft grapes, the yiveshim, and raisins, lo yochel, he should not consume. So it's trying to tighten up any loopholes. His abstinence from wine, from grapes, has to be absolute on any level, and not just simply the alcoholic product. So let's take a look and see what he says. Miyayin v'shecha, right? So he says ketargumo. So it's interesting because the Targum says mechamar, which is the wine. Chadat would be new, v'atik, and old, yazir, right? So there he's saying that it would appear that he says that it has to do with how aged the wine is. So ketargumo, like the translation. Mechamar, he's quoting it here, chadat va'atid, that atik, and from wine that is new and old. Shahayayin mishaker keshehu yashan, because wine causes drunkenness when it is old.
Rabbi, I can't
Yes.
see why eating the grapes off the vine
Yes.
would cause a drunkenness. You're just eating
No,
the grapes.
he said the old one. He said the old wine. In other words, when you allow it to ferment, it causes drunkenness. I believe that's what it's meaning.
Are they putting a wire around the thing that you can't eat grapes? Just can't eat the grapes from the vine?
No.
Birds get drunk from mature grapes.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Right. Yeah. So okay. Let's keep going here into the Rashi here. Okay. So kol mishrat. So he says lashon tzvi'ah b'mayim. He says it has to do with the coloring. Okay, tseva means a color b'mayim, but what we're talking about is where if you steep the grapes in water, right? So the point is it's in water, they're diluted, or b'chol mashke, or with any liquid, uvelashon nish. In other words, whether it's with water or with any other kind of liquid, uvelashon mishnah, and using the terminology of the Mishnah, yesh harbe. So there are many examples where the Mishnah uses this kind of terminology that comes from this root, mishra. Ein shurim dior. There we go. This is on Shabbat, one of the Shabbat laws, right? That you do not dilute ink usmamanim. Smamanim, I guess, would be spices. Nazir she shara pitor bayayin, and gives an example of a Nazirite who dipped his bread in wine. Okay, so nothing, not a thing. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So with the ink, just to explain, I think the ink used to come in little blocks, solid blocks, and they take that and add it, put it in water, and that way get the ink off the block. That's what we're talking about here. So it's to steep something in water. Okay, going on. Let's go. Okay, we did this verse. Kol Yemei Nizro, for all the days of this vow that he takes to be a Nazirite. Mikol Asher Yeaseh Migefen Hayayin. Okay, sorry, Migefen. Anything that is done from the vine. Hayayin Mechartzanim. I think it's Migefen Hayayin. From a grapevine, right? Anything that's made from a grapevine, mechartzanin ve'ad zag. So one of these mean, and I think there's some disagreement as to which means which, but essentially it means from the skin of a grape until its pit. Lo yochel, he should not eat. In other words, it's being as clear as possible that one is not allowed to eat anything that is of a grape origin. Mechartzanim. So this is in Nazir, Heim Aganinim. So there are those who say that the Chartzanim means the seeds. Zag, Zeh HaKlipot, this refers to the peel, Shemibachutz, that is on the outside. Shehachartzanim Betochan, in which the seeds are placed. Ke'inbal Bezog, like a bell with the zog, I guess has to, in this case, if it's meaning the peel, yeah, right. If it's the peel, then it must be the external part of the bell. I believe I've also seen it to mean the clapper as well. So just the opposite. I mean, regardless, it's clear that they mean not just the interior of the grape, not just the juicy part, but any part whatsoever. Kol Yemei Neder Nizro, for all the days of his vow of abstinence, of his Nazirite vow, Ta'ar lo yavor. So there are other issues as well. He shall not cause a razor to pass al rosho, on his head, ad malot hayamim, until he completes the days, Yazir Lashem, which he has vowed as to abstain before God. Kadosh he shall be sanctified. Gadel Pera Sa'ar V'Rosho. Let's make sure I've got the next page. Right. Okay. So he is not allowed to grow the lock of his hair and his head. Let's take a look at the Rashi on this. Kodeshiyah, right? He shall be sanctified. Hasa'ar shelo. Okay, I believe it is. If I'm reading this correctly, Lagadel hapera shel sa'ar rosho. In other words, the hair that is on his head. So that's what is sanctified, what it's devoted. Lagadel hapera shel sa'ar rosho. That is to say that he has to allow the hair on his head to grow and not to cut it off, and that is dedicated. Also, it is considered a holy act, and that his hair, so to speak, has holiness to it. Pera, nakud patach. Okay, so he must be calling the segol patach. Yep, look at this. Nakud patach katan. So here in the parentheses he says segol, because that's the vowel we're talking about, right? So it is it is vocalized with what Rashi defines as a patach katan, which we understand as a segol, the S sound, the fi shehud dabuk l'sar rosho. So pera sar gadel, pera sar rosho. He should grow the lock of the hair on his head. Pera shel sar, that is to say, a lock of hair is the way he's trying to explain it. Upirush shel pera. That and the translation or the explanation of this term pera, gidul shel sar, has to do with a growth of hair. And he gives an example in Leviticus 21, et rosho lo, I believe it's yipara, he should not shave, no, okay. So here it's saying he should not allow his hair to grow too long. The ein karui pera, and it's not considered a pera, that's this term for the hair in the state, pachot mishloshim yom, less than 30 days. So long hair is hair that you've allowed to go uncut for more than 30 days, or from 30 days and on.
That reminds me, Rabbi, of Samson and Delilah.
Exactly.
If Delilah made him cut his hair off and he became weak again.
Yeah, she cut off his hair while he was sleeping. She gave him wine to drink.
Yeah,
That
was terrible.
Right. Yes. So that is the haftarah for this particular parsha. Okay. So anyway, let's see here. Right. And another. So number one, he can't have anything from the grapevine at all. Nothing. Right. We know number two, he has to allow his hair to grow. Right. And then it says Kol Yemei Hazirul Hashem, all the days of his devoted abstinence before God, al nefesh meit lo yavo. He should not come close to a body, to a corpse. He's not allowed to do that. La'aviv uleimo, la'achiv ula'achoto, whether it's to his father or his mother, to his brother or to his sister, lo yitama lahem b'motam. He should not defile himself when they are deceased. And we know, of course, that there's a level of impurity attached to being even in the same room as a body. Ki nezer elohav, because the could we translate? Let me say, I'm trying to see how we would want to translate this. Do we go ahead and translate it as because the vow of abstinence before God, before his God, Al Rosho, is on his head? And I'm wanting to see if the word Nazir also refers, I would have to check this, whether it has also a meaning of wreath, something like that. Okay. And I think I'm going to stop right here and not get into this too much more. And we will take a look at it next year. Okay, stop the share, and I'm going to stop the recording.